No, Toyota didn't break its own record for the most cars sold in a year, but that doesn't stop them from still being the best-selling automaker in the world. I think it's 5 years straight now. Volkswagen's never going to catch them at this point. The only one that could probably catch them long-term wouldn't be Tesla. It's probably BYD out of China. But guys, if you are a Toyota nerd, a Lexus nerd, you're going to enjoy today's content. We have the spreadsheet of all spreadsheets. We have sales figures for each region. We have production figures for each region for 2024. They've just poured in. All right. So if you guys are excited to nerd out, geek out, smash the like button. And at the end, we'll finish with some Lexus because they're still growing. Despite them not having the same footprint in China as I was expecting them to just a few years ago, they're still doing all right there. They've kind of leveled off, but they're growing fast in Europe. And we'll focus on this nice message from the president, Takashi-san, because he said some exciting things about Lexus. So make sure to stay to the very end for us to get our thinking caps on about Lexus. All right, so I need to change the screen configuration because this spreadsheet is too big. This is probably the smallest face cam I've ever had on the channel. That's all right. I could just completely remove myself if I wanted to, but we're going to go back to the very, very beginning here. And we're going to talk about sales of Toyota. Worldwide sales, they sold a total of 10.8 million. 10.8 million. That actually includes Hino and Daihatsu. All right. So they actually set a record for Toyotas and Lexus models sold outside of Japan. Total global volumes down because their sales inside of Japan are not good. And we'll talk about why that was here in a little bit. But they still set a record for all-time sales outside of Japan in 2024. All right. So sales by country and region. This is where it's really going to go into the deep dive on why certain regions are doing better than others. And I really geek out. We're not going to go over single month change year over year. We're going to focus on the total cumulative sales and the reasons why they're up or down. All right. Let's start with worldwide sales here at the top. Domestic sales were affected by certification issues in the production suspension of the Prius. Overseas sales reached a record high due to strong demand in North America and good performance in India. A couple asterisks there, and they might talk on this here in a little bit, but North America, guys, for half the year, we had a stop sale on the new Grand Highlander and the Lexus TX. We could see massive numbers this year in North America for 2025, assuming the economy doesn't tank or whatever. All right. Performance in India. Now, Toyota is still growing in India. They are riding on the success, actually, of Suzuki in India. Suzuki is one of the biggest players in India. And Toyota owns 20% of Suzuki, so they're teaming up together. And in fact, other markets are going to start benefiting from Suzuki and Toyota's collaboration in India. In fact, the new urban cruiser EV that's going to be available in Europe this year is actually being built in India with Suzuki. All right, so that's pretty cool, pretty exciting. All right, let's move on to North America. Sales were up year over year due to strong demand and strong sales of the new Camry at launch. The new Camry is one of my favorite vehicles. Even the LE, 62 miles per gallon I saw. It's incredibly efficient, incredibly affordable. It's quick enough. It drives great, handles great for an average sedan. It's good. It's a really good car, standard hybrid. No comment on Latin America, but they're still up year over year, about 2%. If we go to Europe, Toyota's growing in Europe, and I've heard that they're in second place outside of Volkswagen, and they're going to keep growing, but they're up 4% in Europe. Now, Russia, they've seeded that market. Only China really sells vehicles in Russia, but I don't know how long that's going to go on. In fact, if Trump ends the war or finds a way to get both sides to end the war, I should say Russia and Ukraine, if he's able to generate some peace in that area, things could look a lot better for Europe. Europe could be getting cheap Russian oil again. That's good for energy and reducing inflation, reducing energy prices. And Russia could start importing vehicles again from outside manufacturers. That's not China. So that is going to be an interesting situation. All right. But sales are up year over year due to strong demand in Europe. They have lots of cars over there for Toyota, like the sports touring, touring sports, Corolla. They have the Yaris Cross. They have the Igo X. They got a lot of stuff that we don't have. Anyways, the LBX, the LM. Gosh, just torture me at this point. I wish we had some smaller vehicles or luxury minivans as well. It is what it is. All right. But we get some stuff that they don't as well. All right. Let's go over to Asia. Let's focus on the Chinese market. China. Oh my gosh. China, including Hong Kong. It's actually down 7%. Not good. Not good. Indonesia down 10%. Not good. Thailand down 17%. Why is Thailand down so much? Well, it's because of more affordable Chinese autos really ramping up in that area. Despite that, Toyota saw almost a 10% growth in the Philippines. Taiwan down 2%. Malaysia minus 5%. Again, Chinese autos there are growing. Pakistan up 28%, but it's still a really small market. It's kind of a up-and-coming market, I would say. Vietnam up 15%. Wow, that's surprising. Because they have VinFast there, but apparently VinFast, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to get into VinFast right now. Let's see here. We are in Korea. Korea is a very small market for Toyota, even smaller than Pakistan, but it's good. They're still seeing growth there. India. Holy crap. India. I talked about Pakistan as an up-and-coming market bordering India. They have a long historical past, right? But oh my gosh, India is growing like, I don't know, a weed at this point, a good weed, a garden, a flourishing garden for Toyota. 35% up in India for Toyota, riding on the success of Suzuki. All right, continuing growth last month. Sales were significantly up year over year due to strong sales of the Urban Cruiser High Rider and Innova High Cross. Sick. All right. Indonesia and Thailand production was down year on year due to declining market caused by ongoing strict loan screenings and other factors. Those other factors are Chinese autos. All right. Let's go to the Japanese market, down 13%. Production was down year on year due to certification issues and production issues of the Prius. Yep. And the Prius is now back on sale in America. Finally, it was off of sale most of the year last year. It's finally available. I don't think most dealerships aren't doing markups on it. I still love the Prius. It's just hard for me to recommend the Prius unless you're getting like the LE. And the reason is that it's priced as high as the Camry, and the Camry has more power. The Camry's a bigger car, but the Prius has that styling edge. The Prius has that road presence. Camry's it's just a Camry, and most people would rather have a Camry than a Prius. It's just more functional overall. I know the lift back on the Prius is great, but the Camry's a really good car. Anyways, nothing to say. I mean, Oceania is up 7%, Middle East up 3%, and Africa down 5%. Let's move on to production. Production was down last year for Toyota. Now, overall, down 5% for Toyota and Lexus worldwide. And if you look at Daihatsu, down 28%. Remember the certification issues, the scandals that were going on. Same thing with Hino, emissions cheating, stuff like that. Toyota just got hit with a huge multi-billion-dollar fine in the United States with emissions cheating for Hino. Yikes. But total production was down for Toyota 7.8%. Remember, they sold 1.5 million vehicles. I should not say sold. They produced 1.5 million vehicles last year, and they only produced around 900,000 vehicles less compared to last year. So Toyota would much rather be around that production volume that they had in 2024. It's more sustainable. All right, now we're getting into production by country and region. All right, let's start by worldwide production. Down 5% globally, down 4% in Japan. This is just Toyota and Lexus. This is not Hino and Daihatsu. So this is just breaking out Toyota and Lexus here. So for worldwide production, global and overseas production is on recovery track toward the second half of the year. Production was down year on year due to certification issues and production suspension of the Prius, but also production suspension of the Grand Highlander and Lexus TX. That would have been maybe 150,000, maybe more extra vehicles produced, something like that. All right. And it wouldn't close the gap here. They still would have been down, but if the Prius was up running at full capacity as well as the Grand Highlander TX, they would have been closer. They would have been closer than they were. North America, production up 2.2%, 3.3% up in the US. Mexico production down. They had a rough start with Mexican production of the Tacoma in the first half of 2024, and that's why it was down. And who knows what's going to happen with tariffs and how that would affect Tacoma. That's the only vehicle that we get in America from Toyota, is the Tacoma, made in 2 different plants in Mexico. But tariffs also, I mean, there are parts made from suppliers in Mexico that go into cars that are made in North America. So I hope tariffs don't happen because things would get more expensive in theory, at least in the short term. Long term, the upside, I'm not a specialist by any means. I'm just seeing it from a very casual point of view. Long term, if car production moves to the U.S., I mean, that you think that would help our economy here. But all right, let's keep moving. Latin America. Production was down 5%. I don't really know what they make down in Brazil. A 70 series maybe, as well as some small, more affordable cars. Argentina, Venezuela doesn't make any cars anymore. They stopped in 2020. That makes sense. Venezuela is not the most stable country. Most of South America is not the most stable environment for building cars, but they still produced over 372,000 vehicles last year. Over to Europe. Production's up 3.6%. Maybe I should get is it too late to get my highlighter out? Is this my highlighter? No. Is this it? Nope. Is this it? Okay, so Europe production was up from last year's low water mark following the fire at the parts factory in the Czech Republic. All right, so they put out the fires from last year. That's good. In Asia, okay, the Chinese market is worrisome for every single manufacturer in the world, okay? Unless you're BYD or some of the Chinese brands that are growing there still. So despite a successful sales promotion strategy linked to the government's vehicle purchase subsidy policy in the second half of the year in China, sales were down year on year as a shift to new energy vehicles and severe market conditions such as intensifying price competition continue. New energy vehicles are plug-in hybrids and fully battery electric vehicles, and Toyota cannot compete there right now in those domains. All right. Despite that, the Chinese market, seemingly Toyota is only down 2%, and that's for the month, but down 14% overall in 2024 production. Okay. If I keep saying sales and production, I apologize. I'm still on the production page. Production overall in Asia down 8%. China being the biggest drop, and then Thailand right behind due to the Chinese influence on that market. However, it's up a lot in India. We talked about the sales in India skyrocketing for Toyota. They also make vehicles in Myanmar, which is pretty nuts. All right, so let's go to exports. Nothing to talk about there, really. Toyota and Lexus are only exports that we get. I don't even think you see much Hinos in America anymore. But exports down about 3%. That's exports from Japan, I should say. Exports from other regions. I'm not going to get into this. I'm just going to skip it. It was down in America, Highlander, Grand Highlander, with those vehicles being dropped, and sales or production volume, that makes sense. Sales of electrified vehicles. This is going to be incredible to see. All right. Hybrids. Let's start with hybrids. Toyota was up 21% with hybrids in 2024. They sold over 4.1 million hybrids. Let's move on. They make hardly any mild hybrids, not really worth talking about. Plug-in hybrids. 153,000. This number is going to skyrocket. They need plug-in hybrids slash EREVs in China, more of them. They also need more PHEVs in America. People have been asking for PHEV, more PHEV availability on Prius, but especially RAV4. We want PHEVs of the Sienna, of the Grand Highlander. We want more PHEVs out there for Toyota, formerly known as the Prime models. This number, even though it's up 23% compared to 2023, it's probably going to double that in the coming years. This number is eventually going to eclipse 1 million. Why isn't it there yet? Well, Toyota doesn't have the battery capacity, but that will change. This year, North Carolina battery plant is opening in the United States, so we'll see way better availability on Lexus plug-in hybrids and Toyota plug-in hybrids. And we're getting a new RAV4 plug-in hybrid, or should I say RAV4 in general this year, but hopefully a new 5th gen plug-in hybrid system. We're hearing lofty miles of range. We could see over 50 miles of EV range on the new PHEV RAV4. Time will tell. BEV, they're still growing here, but they're not good. They've had so many different goals they've wanted to reach with BEV. BEVs are stalling out here in America, slightly growing. They are the interest is really dropped in many parts of Europe due to incentives disappearing. Incentives are going to disappear here with Trump, so the interest is going to drop as well a little bit. And also in China, their EVs don't compete as well. So Toyota BEV, it will keep growing slowly, but they're not going to reach the millions and millions and millions of units they thought they would by 2026. That is just a joke at this point. I'll pull it up. Okay, Toyota's EV production targets. And I don't know if these have been updated, but let's see here. When did I last update this? September of 2024. Check this out. In 2026, they're hoping to sell 1 million units. In 2024, they were expected to sell 190,000 units. What did they actually sell? 139,000 units? Yeah, 139,892. Okay, so that they were about 60,000 units short, or 50,000 units short, I should say. About 50,000 units short. So they're 139,000. I'll just put 139,000 here. So way short. Are they going to be able to get to 400K next year? I don't think so. And I don't think they'll be able to get to 1 million in 2026. They won't get to 2 million in 2027. And these numbers are just way off. I understand that they wanted to have more EV volume. I just don't know. You also keep in mind that the EV volume could grow exponentially with the 3-row EVs produced at 2 different plants, supposedly in Kentucky, and then supposedly, the BZ5X / Highlander EV, that and the TZ, those weren't going on sale in 25 anymore. That's going to be 26. So all this is going to be pushed back. All these numbers are going to be diminished substantially, especially if Trump is somehow able to do what he wants to do with California and the other CARB states. Just make one standard across America for emissions regulations. It's the way in my opinion, it should be. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of issues with it. Cars are more expensive when you start having multiple standards of certification processes. All right. Anyways, especially very strict ones that California forces. Anyways, I'm not going to get too much into politics, but there you go. Toyota is nowhere near where they wanted to be for EVs, or should I say not necessarily wanted to be, or where I should say where they projected to be with EVs. And their forecast for EVs is it's a kind of a joke at this point. But hybrids are going to keep growing. Plug-in hybrids are going to keep growing, especially here in the United States as well as in Europe. And until they can have some good EREV technology, which they're working on, Probably won't come until 2027 or something. And next gen BEV technology, which won't come until 2027 or so, could get pushed back. Who knows? All right. So everything is pushed back for EVs for Toyota, but not their PHEVs necessarily, and not their hybrids. Those are on track, and they're seeing good demand for them, so it makes sense. All right, Lexus sales. I could focus on this, but we're just going to get on over to this press release. But they broke their all-time sales record in their money-making environment that is North America. We're up 106.7%, so they're up 6.7%. They sold 355,000 units last year in North America. They sold nearly 380,000 units this year. All right, if we go back to the big spreadsheet, but worldwide sales were down in December. They're up 3.3% overall, despite sales being down in Japan, despite sales being down in Oceania, and then in the Middle East. I would say, why were they down in the Middle East? GX production probably wasn't as high as they needed it to be earlier in the year. But look at the strength that they had, especially in, oh wait, that's not month over month. This is year over year. Okay, so they had a really strong 2023 in the Middle East. All right, so that could be the reason why they're down. But anyways, they had a strong month. Finishing the year is probably better GX availability and maybe LX hybrid availability. All right, so let's get back to the other page. No, I'm kind of drawing this out. So the global sales result from the period January-December 2024 reached a record high of 851,000 units, okay, up 3.3% increase compared to the previous year. Okay, so I know it was in the United States a record year, but globally it was as well. Cumulatively, this growth was attributed to strong demand, particularly in North America and Europe, along with the recovery of stable part supply, contributed to increased global sales. In terms of models, the LBX and LMF, we don't get any of them, or either of them, and we don't get the Morizo LBX, which I think is available. And those models have been well received. In addition to the strong sales of the core RX and NX models, BEV models such as the RZ and UX Electric also achieved strong sales with year-over-year growth of 120% or 19%. It's contributed to an electrified ratio worldwide of 52%. All right. Here are the words of International President Takashi Watanabe. All right. We would like to express our most sincere gratitude to each and every customer around the world for the continued support of Lexus vehicles. In 2024, Lexus launched the all-new LBX and GX, offering new value experience has been highly praised by many customers. Additionally, the newly established Toyota Technical Center at Shimuyama has begun full-scale operations, enabling Lexus to launch a new development framework as a company. In 2025, we are set to debut new models, and we'll talk about what I think those new models will be, and showcase innovative concepts, and I'll talk maybe a little bit about those models too. We remain committed to reshaping the future of mobility through innovative engineering, enhancing lifestyles with customer-focused services. Our goal is to continue providing distinctive value that defines the Lexus experience. So really, the big shock here is the big growth in Europe. Europe has a strong luxury market, and it's hard to crack into, but Lexus is gaining momentum there. It's still small compared to the Japan market. It's small compared to the North American and Chinese markets, but they're still growing, and that's good to see. All right, so what models are we going to see in 2025? Well, we'll see a new ES. And I'm hearing all sorts of stuff on ES. I've heard V6 is sticking around. I've heard plug-in hybrid from the Japan media sources. From other sources, I've heard a liftback sort of Panamera transformation of the ES. I have no idea. Honestly, I'm really excited for the ES. The ES is one of my favorite Lexus models, and I'm excited for whatever comes. I know Lexus will take great care of their ES and execute on that model. All right. Now here's a theory. Now they said what's strange is the ES just got a refresh for China, and why would the ES get a refresh for China when there's going to be a redesign on the ES coming soon, like this year. Why would we see a refresh right before a redesign? Well, if one of my sources is accurate, saying that they're going to have the ES is going to be a liftback Panamera sort of thing, that makes sense because in China, the sedan market's strong. Yes, they'll offer both ESs, but they'll keep the sedan ES, they'll keep that around as demand's high for Lexus sedans. But then maybe they introduce a completely different body style sort of ES, like a liftback, like a Porsche Panamera. And we could see V6s. That's the latest thing I heard. I don't know if that's true, but we'll see plug-in hybrids potentially. We'll have to see if that becomes true. But another thing I'm just hearing so much stuff from a lot of different sources. And I think some of them have good information. I think some of them it might be old information. I'm not quite sure. But another source has said that the ES is going to be fully electric and coming as a 2027 model year. I don't know. I honestly don't know. All right. Time will tell. What else will we see this year? We'll see the new LFR. I don't know. I think that's it. LFR and ES. I don't think we're going to see a refresh on the NX. That would be cool. It might happen. It might happen by the end of this year because I think it's 2022. The ES came out. So the NX came out. So it might be due for a refresh by the end of this year if they want to. Time will tell. All right. I heard the RX is getting some minor improvements for sound insulation this year as well. So we'll see. We'll see. And new concepts. I think they're still playing with EVs. I think we might have a more production-ready concept of the LFZC. Maybe they come out with a concept of a next-gen IS. I don't know. It's really hard to say with what innovative concepts they're playing with. Their new platform is likely to be involved with gigacasting, software defined with the Arene software, with new designs, that sort of thing. So I'm going to end it there. It's a very long video, about 30 minutes before editing. I hope you guys appreciated it. It's fun for me to see which markets are doing well for Toyota and Lexus, what they're succeeding at, what they're struggling with. I mean, they're mainly struggling with China. So, but the bleeding isn't terrible there. All right, look, they were neutral in the year with Lexus. That's impressive. But they got to keep innovating. They got to keep pushing the envelope in order to continue to be successful in China. They're growing in big markets like North America and in Europe, which is not that big, but yeah, it's important. So thank you guys. I'll see you in the comments and stay tuned. We got so much coming for Toyota and Lexus this year. There's going to be a lot of surprises. The new RAV4 is going to break the industry. It's gonna just crush, and I'm excited for that because when Toyota ups their game, everyone else has to up their game. So it's great. All right, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.